Well, and we know
100%.
that.
Like, you know,
Go ahead.
like
Go ahead.
no, like people pick up on if you are actually passionate about what it is that you're doing. I believe that's like an infectious thing as well. And I think that's, I'd argue that's the largest part of the success, or one of the larger kind of components of it, is that, well, I'm not some guy in a suit and tie that just decided I wanted to make a lot of money, so I entered into the market.
Yep.
No,
Mm-hmm.
this has been my life. You know what I mean? And people that have seen me in videos and various stuff that I do, like, this is, I'm a comic book lifer. This is what I've done. This is what I've been into. And now I'm just entering into the more creative space in terms of owning like the business. So it's owned by someone who knows it. You know what I mean? And I am, yeah, there's going to be growing pains and stuff that I got to learn along the way. But I'm a lifer and I'm actually passionate about that. And when that soul is there, people pick up on it, and it's a different thing. It's a different thing between Marvel just putting shit out just for the sake of putting shit out, or DC, and it's like it feels like they're just giving books to whoever, like, and they're just
Mhm.
writing them, even if it doesn't make sense. None of it is connected. Continuity be down because there's no soul in it. It's just, hey, here's a title, go write it. Who cares? Whereas what we're
Right.
trying to do here is all about passion. This is why I have a code of ethics. This is why I made that shit public, because it's a set of standards that the audience gets to hold me to. And that's only a problem when you have no soul and you don't believe in it, and you want that kind of ability to be able to, not ability, because you have the ability to change it up, but if I change it up and I have that code of ethics, it derails my business. I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It
Yep.
keeps me on the rails of what it is that I set out to do. And it's easy to do that when you have passion in your project. And this is why we need more creatives kind of doing that, and those creator-owned types of scenarios. And even if you don't have the business line of thinking, you can get with another creative or someone else that does have a business line, and you can make something special happen. Like I said, if I got my way and more me's kind of went into different angles of entertainment, it's not just about comics. Hopefully we see the same similar thing in video games, movies, and short films, or whatever. We start to see that, because like I said, it'll be a lot of little pockets having a lot of success, but it just won't look like it has over the last year. And that's like billions upon billions going to one. That's probably not going to happen, but I'm fine with that. I am perfectly fine with people being able to route their focus and attention to what they actually like. It builds healthy and thriving fandoms, which builds friendships, which boosts the morale of the people in whatever geographical area that is. It's way big. It's not a trivial thing. This is important stuff. So the more people that get out there and just give it a shot and see success, yeah, and to the folks that are the weirdos, they're gonna always move the post anyway. Like you mentioned, like I make. So, I had people say I wasn't going to make this, you know what I mean? And I made that, and then that kept moving to 2 million. Now it's moving to probably, oh, well, he'll never do what a mark. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it has to keep moving. And I'm like, well, I'm not in a business of like trying to be the $billion corporation, because that I don't want to do that. Well, I defeat the purpose of what I'm going to do. So if your comparison is I have to do that, which has some kind of, you kind of consider it like some laundering in it, or at least a Ponzi scheme in some case, because we know this isn't a really lucrative entity, but it's tied to this mega entity that can pour money or push money into it, and it makes it, or rather gives the appearance that that's a very lucrative thing. It's why now that people are kind of looking at the numbers, they see, well, oh, well, Marvel DC isn't doing as good as I thought it was. You know what I mean? Oh, top selling graphic novel last year only sold 24,000 copies. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as unrealistic, but yeah, they may put out more in volume, because they have 75 lines going on at the same time. Yeah. Like, so yeah, they have that luxury. But as far as like individual success, like, they're not killing it like a lot of people think that they are. And the more people figure that out, the better we're going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Well, we also have learned with movies and stuff, they go, well, this movie made $1 billion, but we also spent $250 million on production and another $200 million, on marketing and all the other numbers that you don't see behind the scenes that we don't tell you about. And really, we only made like $100 million on the movie. But part of the reason that some of these companies spend as much as they do is because all the that goes on behind the scenes. You got to pay off this guy, you got to pay off that guy, and we got a union involved that knows that they inflate numbers, and well, you got to pay this person this much money, or this actor wants $250 million for the movie that they're in, and it's like showing up offering Johnny Depp $33 million to be in a movie because they're like, we need your star power and stuff, but like we don't have to do that. There's a reason that like indie movies and like this percent indie video games and stuff like that are starting to do really well because they don't have all the overhead costs and all of the to wade through before they can finally produce something. They can just produce it, and the biggest thing is getting started. That's always the hard part of anything, but like they don't have all the overhead costs. And so you see a movie come out and the budget is $5 million and they make a ton of money off of it. And it's a better quality than a Marvel film. And that should never have been the case. There should never be a case where you can spend $100 million and make a worse movie than a movie that spent $5 million. But it's happening because these people, they felt good about themselves. The other thing they don't talk about is the fact that they have investors. They're beholden to their investors. So they have all these people that go, hey, I'll give you all this money to do a movie, but I expect my niece to be in the movie, or I expect you guys to implement this kind of ideology in the film, or, well, I really don't like that character talks like that. Can you make him talk like this? Nobody has that kind of oversight. Rippa didn't have somebody in his ear going, hey man, can you make sure that you have a black guy for your main character? I think you need like 30% of your characters to be white. And I think you need at least 10% of them to be gay. Like, it's like, nah, man, I wrote these characters and that's what I wanted them to be.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny because, we always hear the narrative coming from, all these different sides of, the internet and everything else that say like our community are very racist and sexist and everything else. And Rippa literally has like, a black guy as the main character in his first comic. And then he has, he has Yaira coming up as well, and people are obsessed with her.
They're fucking obsessed.
Oh my gosh! But we still see you are just like blowing things up with how successful this is going, and it completely just shatters that entire narrative as well, which is hilarious.
That's the argument being derailed like real time, because they it's a figment of their imagination, but still to this day they have an idea of who they need their enemy to be. It doesn't matter if that enemy is actually that. They just need them to have those positions. They just need them to be that person, because their arguments don't work. And these people have been so committed to that position that they're going to get out there and tell everybody blah, 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 like this person's racist, this person's sexist, this person's homophobic, all this other claim. And, it can't stick now. And they're like, oh, shit, I don't know what I've not equipped myself to do anything else. So I have to still somehow try to figure out how it's racism that a black person created a original black character that is the head honcho kind of for this launching of this universe. They've committed too much to that narrative that they're gonna still try to make that there's some sort of nefarious racism going on in the background.
Absolutely.
If they can't figure out a reason to make you their enemy, they'll absolutely fabricate one. I mean, just
Well, I love the
NPC scripts just 404 out as it hits the bottom. There is no more lines.
They're like, there's nothing. They have their life cycle. You know what I mean? What they're supposed to do is like Red Dead or Skyrim or whatever the NPC is. They're gonna do that. You know what I mean? As even sophisticated as it might be, they cannot deviate, however, from what that script allows them to do. And this is why they're so just wishing for failure and all of that other weird. And it's like, dude, I'm in a great spot. I mean, I'm not. I've said this many times. I'm not like buying a Lamborghini or some shit. I'm reinvesting the money, right back into the company, because there's something that I believe in. You know what I mean? And I know. My team's going through my emails. We've got some very interesting people like that want in on it, but can't get in on it because it's not how this works. Right. Like I've said this before. Even before I launched, I didn't tell. I don't want to act like I knew I was gonna make $2 million. I had no idea I was gonna make $2 million. That much money. And it's not what I'm saying at all. But I did say, like, look, man, these guys. You look at like the George Lucases of the world, and you look at all these other people who sold off their assets for so much money, and I get it, because I'm not justifying that. What I'm saying is like with the old guard and the old setup, like there was always a ceiling. That's why everybody was incentivized to do that. You know what I mean? Why company was incentivized to sell this off? Because another company that was bigger than them gave them an offer that they could not refuse. And they're looking at it like, I will never see that much money with this project doing it on my own. So they sell it off. Whereas to now, it's like Disney could come to me and say, well, oh, we want that ISO. We'll give you $500 million. And I could tell them, on at this rate, I'm going to make $500 million myself off the project. Why the fuck would I take? Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's the power it is that we have because of this. Like, no amount, there's no dollar sign that they could put like on this project where I'm looking at it like, if the trajectory is this, I literally have no reason to. I wouldn't do it anyway. You know what I mean? But I have no reason to do it because I get to skip you. Like, that's the whole point. The whole point is that I don't have to answer to you. I don't have to go after you. So that first like lump sum of money so that I can just get the fuck out their way. I'm not interested because I could be a part of the process. And who knows, like with this, like with me, like for example, going through not going to a third party like Indiegogo or something to take off those fees that they take off, I benefited from it in the long run. You know what I mean? So that's the approach, and that's the benefit of what we have with this sort of new kind of age of technology that the world and the entertainment is still trying to catch up with.